following is a presentation of HBO Sports.
We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, where 2 days from now, the MGM Grand plays host to the first mega fight of 2014, the highly anticipated rematch between Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley Jr. It's been close to 2 years since Pacquiao lost his welterweight crown to Bradley in a highly disputed split decision. Hello again, I'm Jim Lampley, and I'll be joined in just a few moments by HBO expert commentator Roy Jones and HBO.com correspondent Kieran Mulvaney. It's our privilege to welcome you to this on-location installment of 24/7 Pacquiao Bradley 2. Approximately 48 hours from now, Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley will again square off, second time in 2 years, with a welterweight belt, status within the pound-for-pound top 5, and the outcome of a 22-month argument about their first fight, all on the line. We've tracked both fighters as they've made their way from their training camps to Las Vegas, and over the next 30 minutes, we'll catch you up on their respective recent activities of the past few days. But first, let's go back in time to June 2012. Manny Pacquiao, a global superstar who hadn't tasted defeat in 7 years, squaring off with Timothy Bradley, still at that time an undefeated yet relatively unknown 140-pound title holder. That night turned out to be a memorable and, for many, an infamous night at the fights.
Going in, Pacquiao hadn't fought a great fighter in that fighter's prime in a long time. And here he was going to fight Tim Bradley, who's a well-schooled, well-rounded fighter in his prime. That's a dangerous fight.
Going into the fight, we thought Pacquiao was going to do to Bradley what he had done to so many opponents beforehand.
Ladies and gentlemen, the WBO Welterweight Championship of the World.
After I do the introductions, I go right to a ringside seat, and I usually actually keep the score with a pencil and paper. I like to keep my eyes on what's happening.
I was watching the fight between Pacquiao and Bradley from the first row of the press, dead center as usual, and watched the fight very closely.
One night, this incredible, devastating, unbeaten streak will come to an end. Can Tim Bradley make tonight that night? Pacquiao has the hand speed that can equalize just about anything Bradley can do at any moment.
Hard left hand by Pacquiao down the pipe. Best punch of the round so far.
Timothy Bradley, although game and was maybe in the fight, Pacquiao was dominating.
Right hand landed. Pacquiao gets him with a straight left.
I've covered thousands of fights. In my mind, this was not a fight where I'm scoring rounds saying that's close or maybe it could go either way.
And the left hand moves Bradley halfway across the ring.
Bradley's landing, but he doesn't have the power on those punches.
Halfway and 3/4 through the fight, I stopped scoring the fight because, in my opinion, it looked like Pacquiao was sufficiently ahead.
It's been very difficult to find a round that Bradley could have won.
Pacquiao wasn't as aggressive in this fight with Timothy Bradley as he was in past fights with Miguel Cotto, Antonio Margarito, the guys that he had really walked through.
He wasn't overwhelming Bradley with, punches connected.
It did seem to me that later in the fight, that Bradley did come on a little bit, that if you were going to give him any rounds, it might have been a couple in that second half of the fight.
Bradley goes back downstairs and hammers to the ribcage.
After the 12th round, I thought once again we were going to hear Manny Pacquiao's name announced as the winner.
And I had it like 11 rounds to 1.
Once the 12th round is over, the referee collects the scorecards. It goes to the commission table. They add it up. When I looked at the scorecards, it's not like a double take, but I have to really make sure I've got this right.
New WBO Welterweight Champion of the World, Timothy Bradley.
Timothy Bradley has scored an upset split decision victory over Manny Pacquiao. God only knows how.
Please, don't kill the messenger. All I can do is read the scorecards.
When they read the scores and they first announced that Bradley was the winner, and I've seen this happen before, I thought, well, maybe they made a mistake, and that didn't happen.
That decision was a crime. I have no comment. I'm totally confused.
I just remember there was a feeling at ringside. You look to your left, you look to your right. How'd you have it? You're just dumbfounded by what happened.
It's just amazing to me. I have no way to understand this.
For days and days and days after that fight, messages continued to pour into me. The world was up in arms.
We are nearly 2 years from Pacquiao Bradley, and the debate still continues to this day. The fact that we are going to get a rematch won't settle the score from June 2012, but what it will do is it will provide some closure to the controversy.
I'm now joined by HBO boxing expert commentator Roy Jones. And Roy, we're going to look back at that first fight now as the high-level tactical boxing match it turned out to be. Let's start with the jabbing contest. How did that begin?
Well, in the beginning, Tim Bradley came out throwing an effective jab because he was coming forward with it. Once, about the end of the first round, Pacquiao countered it. He stopped and started using it for more of a measuring tool or a pawing tool. He didn't really mean it anymore.
What technique was Manny using early on to set up his eye-catching power shots?
The first thing he would do was counter Tim's jab with his straight left hand. The other thing he would do is use his left hand or his right jab to run Tim into the dead zone. Once Tim go in the dead zone, he'd wait till he comes up and he'd attack him with a crushing left hand or an overhand left.
Now, all observers seem to agree that as the fight went on, there were fewer and fewer of those big Pacquiao shots. What was Bradley doing to limit them?
Bradley became smart. He started moving more either inside or outside. He didn't stay at mid-range. He did come all the way to Pacquiao or stay far enough away from Pacquiao so that he wouldn't be in danger of those big shots.
A lot of people don't think of Manny Pacquiao as a skilled defender, but of course he's been around a long time. What was he doing in the first fight to limit Tim Bradley's offense?
The main thing he did in the first fight to limit his offense was he was moving to Tim's right, which was right down the pipe for Tim's right hand. But Pacquiao, like I used to do, challenged that straight right hand. So maybe he thought Tim had a better left hook than he did a right hand. Usually guys, when they train to fight a southpaw, they expect the guy to go to the left, not to the right. Pacquiao stayed right there on the right side, challenging Tim's right hand all night long.
Is there something Bradley could do this time around to be more offensively explosive and maybe secure that runaway victory that fans didn't see the last time?
Yeah, Tim got to use his feet wisely, try to stay set. A lot of times when he throw big punches, he goes, step his right foot forward, leave himself out of balance, and Pacquiao punished him for it almost every time. So if he can limit the big shots, be smarter about it, and try to land more pity-pat head shots to set up the big ones, then he could be victorious.
Great stuff, Roy. As usual, you see what we don't see. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jim.
All right. Following the loss to Bradley, Pacquiao was brutally knocked out in his next fight by Manuel Marquez. Last November, he got back into the win column against a game but overmatched Brandon Rios. But the absence of a knockout victory in his last 7 fights raises the question of whether Pacquiao still possesses that killer instinct that made him a must-see attraction for nearly a decade. Our Kieran Mulvaney caught up with Pacquiao a few days ago. Let's take a look.
And new WBO welterweight champion of the world, Timothy Bradley.
Manny, if we go back to the first fight with Tim Bradley, when the scores were read out, there was disbelief at ringside. What were you thinking?
When I heard the decision, I feel like, oh, what happened? I mean, asking myself, what happened? And after 1 minute, forget about that. It's part of boxing.
Timothy Bradley and his trainer have been pretty harsh in some of their comments. They've been saying things like, your fire has gone. You don't even really have the desire to fight anymore. You're a pretty relaxed guy. I don't think much gets to you, but does that kind of get under your skin a little bit?
It's good for me. It's helped a lot. It's helped a lot to me because while I'm training, it inspired me to work hard, you know, to prove that I still have that killer instinct that he's talking about and the aggressiveness that he's talking about. So I think it's benefit for me when he says that. So I'm not angry or anything else. So.
You talked about being aggressive. You've not had a knockout, as you're constantly reminded, since Miguel Cotto. You said you're going to be more aggressive, but you've said that for a few fights. Either you or Freddie has promised a knockout and it hasn't come. Will that be different on Saturday?
That's what I'm trying to do this fight, and my focus is show to prove that the killer instinct that he's talking about, you know, that is still there.
Do you need to have that very, very impressive, dominant win over Tim Bradley to convince people that Manny Pacquiao is still Manny Pacquiao?
That's what I'm trying to do, and I believe I can I can do so. I do my physical condition, spiritual condition, and mental condition. So I'm ready for Saturday.
Finally, you've been fighting a long time. Do you see yourself fighting for much longer? Do you feel you've almost done everything you wanted to do in the sport? Or does a lot depend on what happens on Saturday?
It depends on what happens on Saturday, and I believe that my journey in boxing is still will continue. Will continue. A couple more years.
Manny, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
There's no denying the historic success Pacquiao has enjoyed in the ring throughout his career. But whether he can now reemerge as a devastating puncher is the question everyone is hoping will be answered on Saturday night. It's been nearly 2 years since Tim Bradley won a controversial decision over Manny Pacquiao. But since that win, Bradley bounced back last year with a thrilling performance in a victory over Ruslan Provodnikov, followed by a victory over Pacquiao nemesis Emmanuel Marquez. Bradley sat down with our Kieran Mulvaney to talk about that first fight with Pacquiao, his thoughts about his rival, and what he expects to happen in the rematch.
So, Tim, we're here in locker room 4 at the MGM Grand Garden Arena, and this is the first time you've been here since after your first fight with Manny Pacquiao in this very locker room. What kind of memories does that bring back of that crazy night?
I don't really remember the locker room too much.
No?
No, I really don't remember his locker room at all.
What do you remember though about that night, the whole swirl of emotions of everything that was
It was
going
like
on?
I was happy, then I was sad, then I was like deep depression like a week later. So it was like supposed to be the happiest moment of my life, but it wasn't. It was probably one of the worst times of my life, and actually my career.
Just hearing all the criticism about the fight, the decision. I got to go home and watch the tape, see if I, really want to fight, and just go from there.
What have the last 2 years been like for you in that you had that criticism and a lot of praise for your last couple of fights? The word roller coaster comes to mind. I imagine the last couple of years have been like that.
It was a huge roller coaster ride. I'm actually thankful it happened. I'm actually thankful that people hated me and didn't want me to succeed and didn't care about me, because I've bounced back from it. It's made me a lot stronger. I move forward. I don't care what people think of me now. I don't care what the media says about me. I'm a great fighter, man. I know who I am. I'm one of the top fighters in the world.
Your sense of motivation and desire and drive is very clear. You've been very much in Manny Pacquiao's face, saying he doesn't have that drive anymore. He doesn't have that same desire. What is it that you see in him? Is it something inside the ring, or is it looking in his eyes that makes you think that?
When Pacquiao came on the scene, he was a destructive animal that people loved, and he was knocking out everybody he stepped in the ring with. And when was the last time he knocked somebody out? So I just started doing my homework and really researching. And before I even said it, I read on a blog his fans was even saying that, hey, he doesn't have the fire anymore.
Are you concerned, finally, that because of the controversy with the first fight, Manny Pacquiao is going to get the benefit of every doubt? Are you going to have to not just win the rounds, but dominate the rounds, or stop Manny Pacquiao to win the fight?
Like I told you, I've already got it. I've already beaten this guy. I don't care what anybody says. I've already beaten him. But they get the credits from the fans. The fans is going to be watching. And if, let's say it's a bad decision, let's say I win the fight, but they give it to Pacquiao, guess what? As long as the fans seen it, as long as all the media saw it, everybody seen it with their own eyes, and they said Bradley should have won that fight, I'm happy with that.
I'm joined now on set by our HBO.com correspondent, Kieran Mulvaney. Kieran, after having spent time with both Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley within these past few days, what, if anything, sticks out for you about their current states of mind?
I think what we've seen from them this week is what we're used to seeing from these guys before a big fight. Manny's very calm, he laughs, he jokes, he doesn't get pushed into making predictions. Tim Bradley would probably say that's a sign that he doesn't have the fire, the heart anymore of a fighter, but he's always been like that. That's the kind of guy he is. Tim Bradley's a passionate guy. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and all the more so, I think, for this. This is a very, very meaningful fight for him. He's been burning with resentment for 2 years over the way he was treated, and he desperately wants to right a wrong, if you will.
Is there a danger for either man, perhaps both, of trying to drive home a point about what happened 2 years ago and forgetting that this is an entirely separate competition?
It would be a danger for either man. Were one of the two the more likely to do it, I would say it would be Tim Bradley. I think this all washed off Manny Pacquiao within a minute or so of the decision being announced the last time. Ironically, it's Tim Bradley, the guy who won the decision, who's the one who feels he has a lot to prove, who really feels he needs to go out there, has been disrespected in the 2 years since. This is his white whale, in a sense. He really needs to slay Manny Pacquiao and do so convincingly.
Is there a possibility that Freddie Roach and Manny Pacquiao together are playing into the skilled counterpunching hands of Timothy Bradley by trumpeting their need to be more aggressive and pursue a knockout?
We're in Las Vegas. There are poker games going on in the build-up to this fight. Timothy Bradley and Joel Diaz are trying to goad Manny Pacquiao and Freddie Roach into being aggressive, into putting themselves onto Timothy Bradley's counter-punching power. Pacquiao and Roach are perfectly happy to let Bradley think that that's exactly what's going to happen. At the end of the day, if they get a clear 12-round decision, they'll be just as happy.
Excellent reporting, Kieran. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jim.
2 years ago, Timothy Bradley Jr. co-starred on the sport's biggest stage for the first time in his career. Today, the fighter known as Desert Storm is much more comfortable in the limelight, as is evidenced by his journey from Palm Springs to Las Vegas earlier this week.
About 4 days out for the big showdown with Manny Pacquiao. All the hard work is over. All the hard work is done. We call it break a sweat week, so mainly focus on the game plan. I'm losing weight if we need to lose weight. That's it, man. Let's get out, man. Let's go check out the gym. Manny's been at the top. He's been at the top for a very long time. It gets lonely at the top. There's no way in hell he worked harder than me. I don't care what anybody say.
There you go. That was perfect. Boom. How about this? Freddie should focus on his fighters and stop playing games. You know, he wants to play mind games. After the fight, if he wants, we can play some games outside the sport, but my games are not as funny as his. It's the truth. He's talking knockout, knockout. Okay, come and bring it. This is nothing new. This is boxing. You know what's new? Oh, that he feels compassionate for the fighters. And you don't belong in the sport.
We ain't afraid of nothing. We ain't afraid of nobody. We fight through pain. We fight through adversity.
Time.
We ain't afraid of nobody.
Fuck Freddie and everybody around him. We'll just finish our workout, making sure that the champ is putting in his work for the day. Put it together, Freddie. After the fight, you and I can play some games. See you.
I'm gonna be interviewed today by Chris Webber and Reggie Miller. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, I can't wait, man.
All right. I didn't know Kanye West was coming with us. Oh, it's you.
Well, nothing more important in this world than my family and my kids. Leia's chilling. She's 7 months, be 8 months real soon. I can't wait till she start walking. I'm familiar with the Staples Center. I've been to many games. Never been interviewed on a live show. It's pretty cool.
Man, the Filipinos are gonna get mad at me, man.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm Reggie Miller, and I'm joined by Mr. Desert Storm himself, Timothy Bradley, 31-0.
That's
the
right.
Big fight.
I'm training for a knockout. You know, I train for a knockout.
Do you have a round for us?
Round 8 sounds good to me, man, for some reason.
We heard it first. Round 8.
Round 8 sounds good to me.
Timothy Bradley.
The champ is here.
That's Good luck, brother.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We will be
The
there.
champ is here.
The champ is in the building, people.
Heading to Vegas to take care of unfinished business. The stage is set even bigger and brighter now the second time around because of what I did in 2013. Another day at the office. That's all it is with me. I can't wait to get it on, man, Saturday. That's all I'm thinking about, man. It's just fight night, getting it on, and, you know, once again, proving everybody wrong once again. So it's my time. It's my destiny. I'm gonna, and I will win.
The fact he took several hours off during fight week to attend a Lakers game speaks to Bradley's newfound confidence and his growing star status. As far as his opponent on Saturday is concerned, nobody needs to be reminded about Manny Pacquiao's role as an official statesman and global icon. We decided to recruit the services of Pacquiao's countrywoman, reporter Diane Castillejo, to get an insider's perspective on one of the sport's most celebrated personalities.
3, 2, 1.
Saturday morning in Los Angeles brought Filipinos to the Pan Pacific Park.
Rowing from the start?
Yeah, lots of Filipinos there. Okay, that's good. That's good for them.
Diane Castillejo is in the midst of a 14-hour workday. Business as usual for the Filipino journalist charged with bringing the latest news about Manny Pacquiao to hungry fans in the Philippines.
The appetite for news from Manny Pacquiao is way up there. We have a morning news, hourly English news, sort of like a CNN type. And then we have noontime news, we have primetime news, late night news, radio. So each platform of news will want me to give a different story on Manny Pacquiao. No details is too small. Pacquiao did a quick change of clothes and then ate his usual post-run snack, an egg sandwich.
Yeah, how are you? Good, good.
So our plan for today, we'll go to the gym, bring your equipment for a stand-up. Coach Betty Roach says Manny is exactly where he needs to be and just...
For over 10 years, Castillejo has been reporting on Pacquiao for Filipino television company ABS-CBN. And along the way, she witnessed Pacquiao's transformation from sports hero to global icon.
Manny has changed so much. When he first won his first world championship, there was just like a handful of us in a small hotel room, and I called one person to get an interview. And from that time, I have seen just the interest in Manny Pacquiao grow by leaps and bounds.
Diane's been consistent and been there just as a news person. They definitely have a friendship. She tries to get into the workout sometimes, and I'll make her stay outside for a little while, and then Manny will ask me to let her in.
Left and right, baby.
Since we've known each other for so long, I kind of know what's a good time to interview him. It's tougher now. You have to wait a lot. Fight week is, of course, very exciting. It's very challenging, and it's the most stressful. Now I have to really look at him in the eye and say, Manny, I have a live interview at 3 o'clock, and can you be here?
In the last 2 years, Castillejo has had a front row seat for some of the most dramatic moments of Pacquiao's career.
Oh! And that's another knockdown! And will he get up?
Nobody expected to see him flat on his face. I was getting frantic calls from my office. Is he alive? Is he moving? Filipinos sort of see themselves in him, struggling, put down like that, and still fighting and hoping to rise again.
In late 2013, Rise Again took on new meaning as Typhoon Haiyan devastated the Philippines, and Castillejo watched in amazement as Pacquiao's fight with Brandon Rios provided solace amid the devastation.
Manny's fight against Brandon Rios was shown live in that Tacloban area where there was no electricity. They put up a giant screen. It was really, really a great win for Manny and very good timing. At least it brought some smiles. As a sports journalist covering Manny Pacquiao, I've been able to give stories that give hope to Filipinos, meaningful stories. I love to be able to bring stories of hope and victory and triumph, especially to Filipinos who are always looking for something to be proud about and something to inspire them.
Tim Bradley and Manny Pacquiao's personalities contrast much in the same way that their fighting styles do. We can only hope that what we get in the ring Saturday night will erase some of the bad taste with which we were left following their first meeting nearly 2 years ago. Here again, to help us break down Pacquiao-Bradley 2, is Roy Jones. Roy, after everything they've been through in the last 22 months, who holds the real psychological advantage going into the second fight?
Well, to me, Bradley holds the psychological advantage. The reason being is because he has so much to deal with after that first one, with people not believing the fact that he got the decision. I'm being one of those people. Now he has to go back and try to prove to those people that they were wrong. He did deserve that decision. And for him, he has everything to gain, nothing to lose. Pacquiao on the other side has won the fight one time, didn't get the decision for it, but he won it. So now he just got to go out there and try to repeat what he did. Hopefully he won't do like he did against Marquez and try to knock out to do too much, or we could see the same thing happen.
Given where they are physically at this stage of their careers, whose fighting style benefits most from that?
Well, right now, Bradley's style benefits most because he's a boxer. He's a long-term guy. And like you said, in 7 fights, Pacquiao hasn't knocked anybody out. So if Bradley can last with you, usually Bradley probably could outpoint you.
All right. Let's go to the judges. 3 brand new judges, not the people who had so much abuse heaped on them 2 years ago. Can they score the fight in isolation as an entirely new enterprise, or is round 1 really round 13 for these judges?
Nowhere in the world can they score the fight like that. Round 1 is really round 13. Just that simple.
All right, thanks very much, Roy Jones. That wraps up our show for tonight, but before we go, we invite you to vote on who you think will win, Pacquiao or Bradley. You can log on to the HBO Boxing Facebook page to cast your vote. You can also tweet #PacWins or Bradley wins, or use your mobile device to text your vote to 53548. We'll show you the results of the poll tomorrow night during Weigh In Live, Pacquiao Bradley 2, which comes your way at 6 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. It all leads up to Saturday night's welterweight championship rematch between Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley Jr. live on pay-per-view at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And now for our HBO crew here in Las Vegas, I'm Jim Lampley. Thanks for being with us for this special on-location installment of 24/7 Pacquiao Bradley 2.